like feeling like I'm not truly being myself, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way. So that's why I'm saying now, like, be your authentic self. Find the people who can help you be your authentic selves. Surround yourselves with the right people and step outside your comfort zone to get closer to your dreams. Okay, guys. You see where I'm at right now? We are at the park. We are outside. The topic today is stepping outside of your box. I feel like that can be pretty self-explanatory. That term or that phrase of stepping outside of your box. The box being your comfortability and like your comfort zone. A lot of us mistake comfort with safety. And I mean, it could be considered safety. However, sometimes safety doesn't allow space for growth in a way. And if you don't allow yourself to grow as a person, no growth as a human being, you're not evolving, you're not leveling up, you're just not challenging yourself, and you're not building any character for yourself. So I believe that in order to grow, we have to do things that make us uncomfortable. And that is going to be stepping outside of our boxes sometimes. We could, as people and human beings, blame things around us in our environments, which we most definitely can. We can do a lot of things, but at the end of the day, blame is a choice that a person makes to kind of centralize the root of the problem to something that's not themselves, when in actuality, we are our own biggest enemies at the end of the day. But yeah, I just think that we are our biggest enemies, and the more we try to blame outside factors, I feel like it's kind of selfish to do that. Or is it selfish? Is that the right word? I think it might not be the word, but to not hold yourself accountable is really just you as a person not looking inwards, and you're just affected by your environment. So, yeah, we are our biggest enemies, and what can we do to really negate that? What can we do as human beings to stop bringing ourselves down and instead start lifting ourselves up and filling our spirits? I'd say something we could do is really learning yourself as a person. And it can be hard to learn who you are as a person, but if you step outside of the box, you will see not the whole scope of who you are, but you'll definitely see some pros and cons of how you move in life. And I think if you're able to slowly begin identifying what those cons and what your pros are as the person you are right now, and kind of listing that down, recognizing your cons and how it can stop you from being not your perfect self, but definitely someone who is in a constant rate of growth. Now, of course, nothing I say could resonate with you, but I feel like if it's something you need to hear or something that stands out to you, you should definitely take it with you. If it's something that doesn't apply to you at all, just leave it, and don't stress yourself out trying to force something to make sense to you or forcing something to apply to your life. If it's really just something that doesn't, you don't want to do that. You don't want to feel fake. You want to do things intentionally where you're actually intentionally feeding your soul. Hopefully you guys aren't picking up on these background noises because it's a lot. I love to yap, guys. It's actually kind of crazy, and I'm I have the privilege to do it, guys, and I'm using my privilege to yap. My head looks fucking huge, I'm not gonna lie. Just stop holding yourself back, guys. And I know it's easier said than done, but I definitely was in that mindset too, where I just do the easy things in life. I won't challenge myself. And just letting myself be. I think I was stigmatizing things in my life so much, like unnecessarily stigmatizing things around my life because I was scared to do it, and I was making everything that could have been beneficial to me as a person. I was making everything seem like a negative thing, which is kind of crazy now that I look back at it. Like, I don't know. And I feel like I started to make myself into a stereotype. Like, not like a racial one or like a cultural stereotype, but I mean a stereotype that I made for myself. Like, I don't know if I'm using that term correctly for this. Like, I created an image of myself that was super freaking false. And I think that's definitely something that happens when you're stuck inside of that box that you need to free yourself from, is you're so connected to this one stagnant image of yourself where there's no growth. And I keep repeating these words, but it's true. Like, it's so true. The word growth is so important. The word continue is so important to me. Just being a constantly elevating person is important to me, and just always leveling up. You know, that's like a big thing for me, I think. We should always be grateful. We should always be grateful for the stage we are at right now in our lives. And we should take everything as a learning opportunity. But we shouldn't idolize like certain points of your life where you're like, oh, that was my prime. That was my prime. I want to be in my prime again. Kind of illustrating that you're in your prime right now, but it's really up to you what you do with your time right now. And your mindset and everything, because it's really the words you speak out that kind of shift everything for you. That's why I'm able to bask in what I'm saying so easily compared to someone who doesn't believe that they're able to change, you know? People who believe that they are just in this one spot of their life, it's because that's something that they train themselves to believe. And I train myself to believe something else, which is constant growth and elevation. And it's a muscle, honestly. Like, just the self-esteem, the drive to do things. It's definitely a muscle that I built for myself. You just gotta condition yourself, guys, with this whole idea that we're constantly growing as people, and that we're not gonna grow if we don't chase our dreams. So start chasing. And if you don't have dreams, I'm not gonna say that's okay, but I think the only way to really live not comfortably, but the only way to live with the desire of being alive and having a reason to live is because of dreaming and goals and aspirations, okay? And speaking of dreaming, of course, not everything we do is going to lead us right down to this path that we believe we want, but I think that's the beauty of it, and it builds character. It builds character being let down. It builds character to be shut down. It builds character to be led astray, or to realize that mistakes aren't bad things, and changes aren't bad things, and going off track isn't a bad thing, but it's instead a monumental part of your life where what happened to you, what are you going to do with what happened to you? You know, like, how are you going to carry that? What are you going to do as a person? Like, what are you going to learn? And I think that's also a door that I opened for myself, like taking every opportunity in my life and using it as a learning lesson, and really stepping outside looking at everything from an outside perspective and really not completely breaking it down, but kind of noting why things happen, I guess. And there's not always going to be a perfect answer, but just really being mindful. I don't know if I should go deeper into that because that's a whole different topic of like taking life lessons and all that. So, secondly, we've talked about being our biggest enemy, holding ourselves back. I do want to touch more on dreaming, and I love to talk about it because it's definitely, I'd say, controversial with a lot of people because of how different everyone's mindsets are. But being a dreamer is probably the most freeing thing for me. And for a lot of people, it can feel like heavy and the worst thing. But I think I'd rather live a hard life and face lessons in my life, cry. I'd rather feel emotions. I'd rather be, molded. I want to be a molded person, instead of a person who just lived an easy life and they're scared of doing things. So I feel like that's a whole different topic as well, but if you catch my drift with what I'm saying, you'll kind of see how there's really two different lives we could live. And that's the thing, we only have one life, so you got to choose one. You got to choose how you want to live. And I'm choosing the hard way because I just love wisdom, and the only way you can be blessed with wisdom is through endeavors, And maybe not always endeavors, but definitely experience. Wisdom comes with experience. Wisdom comes from mistakes. Wisdom comes from your observations in life. And I don't think you can really observe much if you're living an easier life because you're doing the same thing, You're doing like a very routine thing and you're not changing it up to where things could go wrong. And what happens if something does go wrong and you're someone who lives an easy life? You won't have different methods or strategies to go approach the issue in your life. So I think as someone who would want to experience, and I have experienced hard moments in my life, I definitely have a list of things I could do to ease my troubles. And that wouldn't be something I would have if I didn't go through the things I went through. So, yeah. I literally said I was going to talk about dreaming and then I ventured off to that. But it kind of makes sense. Okay, wait, yeah. It makes sense. Watch this, guys. Dreaming can cause a hard life because you're able to shift more. But with shifting, it comes with like prerequisites, I'd say. Like you're not fully prepared for the shift that you have to take when it comes to dreaming, because with dreaming, it's not always going to stay the same. Of course, some people are able to stick to one dream, but in reality, if we do that, the dream's never going to be, the dream that we chase is going to have a path that's never going to be a straight line. So dreaming can be hard, right? And I think that's the beauty of it. And I think that the delusion of dreaming that it gives you, the delusion that, is it delusion? I think that's the word. I'm just saying that delusion is a powerhouse of motivation and success, because I'd say, let me give you an example. And this has been something that's been pretty relevant to me. Delusion, it can be dangerous, but it's like, it's a motivation, bro. Like, let's be real. Like, our delusions give us ideas. Our delusions give us motivations. It gives us goals. It gives us things that we want to achieve because we believe, we create an idea in our head that we want this, right? And I think that can drive us towards working towards it. That can drive us in a positive way. Because if we're not delusional, we're not chasing our dreams. I don't know what to tell you. That just makes sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, I'm sorry. But delusion and reality, I mean, yeah, of course you want to be realistic sometimes. But I think a lot of people who are successful in life and who have achieved crazy things, they did it with delusion in their heads. Is that the right word? It's either delusion or imagination. And it's just pure dreaming, dude. Dreaming to achieve something. And I think that's kind of exactly what I'm saying. That the more delusional we are, the more drive we get to achieve the little something we want in our lives, you know. Because without delusion, I feel like everything's just going to be boring and sad and not creative, I guess. I don't know. Am I mixing up delusion with imagination? Probably, but if you know what word I'm talking about, I'm going to assume it's delusion. I'm saying that, like, delusion is, like, the powerhouse of motivation. It's the powerhouse of imagination. It's the powerhouse of success. What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? That better not have been a bug, my boy. Be delusional sometimes. It's okay to be delusional. Just don't be crazy. Don't be fucking insane and wasting your energy thinking of things that probably won't benefit you. Be delusional of things that would benefit you, you know? Like, let's do a little small example. Like, a delusion for me would be next year I want to be able to be traveling, you know? That's a delusion. It's a delusion because I'm imagining scenarios and I'm creating these expectations, but with these expectations, I'm using it as a motivation, just to see how bad I really want it. And the more you think about it, the more you think about these goals that you want to achieve, the more you're going to want to achieve these goals because maybe this is unhealthy. Maybe it's unhealthy to be delusional. Maybe this is my unhealthy motivation. Like, but it's not like I think about it in like a, this is going to happen like this, it's going to happen like that. No, it's like I want to do these things. So just be a heavyset dreamer. Fuck the word delusion. I'm fucking mad now. Just dream, guys. Just keep dreaming till you achieve your dreams. And then your dreams are no longer dreams. And then you move on to the next dream and aspiration. You know? These things will come true if you work towards it. I think we forget that. They're not going to come to us. We have to work towards it. Dreams are made, but it's you who has to work for them. It is you who has to work for your dreams to come true, of course. On the topic of comfortability and stepping outside of the box again, I do want to say don't get too comfortable, but it's so easy to say that. And it feels so safe to be in a spot where everything feels good. But let's think about it as if you stay in this box of comfort, what are you doing to fulfill yourself? But when you're stuck in this box of comfort, do you think that same box in 20 years is going to feel any regret for staying in this box for so long? Does that make sense? Like, I think for me, my biggest drive is not wanting to feel regret when I'm older. My biggest drive right now is also watching people do the things I want to do. And then in my old mindset, I'd be like, how's it so easy for them? You know? And I think that's where I learned a lesson of it's not easy for these people that do the things that I want to do. You know, these people are living my dreams. There's people out here living my dreams because they worked towards them. They stepped out of this box of what am I doing that they're not doing, and they started doing what they saw other people were doing. They stepped out of their box and started doing things that they wanted to do. You know, and I learned that, and I started applying it to myself. So that's where I am at right now. Of course, I'm not always going to be confident in everything I do because I'm still human, and I live in a society where people will make you feel small for doing what you want to do. But we have to think about it as these people are stuck in a mindset where they have to stay inside this box because it's safe, because they don't want to risk losing in order to earn and shoot back up and increase and invest in things. And I think it's a risk. Of course, it's a fucking risk to do things that you aren't guaranteed or promised the outcome that you want. But isn't that the whole point of life, bro? To live and to learn. A lot of us are able to bounce back, and I think we are scared of debt, and that's very fair to be scared of debt. But that's why you gotta find a balance. You know, you don't want to go too heavy with your risk. Just risk what you're willing to lose. And that might be hard to face as well. So just do small things first. You don't have to do big things. Like you're scared that to do a little makeup look because you're scared of what other people will think. Just do it. What do you have to lose? You literally have nothing to lose when you're doing shit like that. You know, the only thing you have to lose is your care for what other people think of you. So I think like it can be very vague of this risk factor, but just take what you can apply to your life. You know, whatever risk you're thinking of right now, just think about how you could benefit from it, how big the risk is, and if you're willing to lose in order to gain. Was that bars or nah? Like, literally, let's take an example like what I did, you know? And I didn't do nothing crazy at all. I just literally, like, I feel like I've been stuck my entire life in this mindset where I'm never gonna find my crowd because I felt like I was just different. I feel like I was just hardwired different, and people don't really get along with me, you know, authentically. But that's my fault because I wasn't allowing myself to embrace new crowds. I wasn't reaching out, or not reaching out, but I wasn't surrounding myself around the right crowds, you know. I was surrounding myself with what was trending, I guess, like, or what people gravitate towards. But that's not what matters, what other people gravitate towards. It's what you gravitate towards. And I started, you know, the saying, you don't chase, you attract. I think I started doing that more when I started really feeding myself in my creativity. That's such a funny word. Okay, but like, yeah, so I feel like I definitely met some dogs recently, and it just kept expanding and expanding, and like you just really gotta not exactly put yourself out actually no, yeah, you have to put yourself out there to kind of get a grasp of your environment, to get a grasp of what you're comfortable with. and what you're not comfortable with, but what could benefit you. So that's a whole lot of yap right there, but there's gonna be people who I do and don't get along with. So if I'm vibing with a person, why am I gonna ruin that connection just because I'm scared that I won't vibe with them when I already vibe with them? I met all these people, you know, cool ass people. And it kind of showed me like when the time comes sometimes, and once you start preparing yourself to feel uncomfortable to do new things, you're opening doors for yourself. So that was an amazing experience. It was pretty fun. Like, it felt authentic. Like, I felt like myself after a long time of just feeling like I have a mask on, and I hated that feeling. Like, feeling like I'm not truly being myself, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way. So that's why I'm saying now, like, be your authentic self. Find the people who can help you be your authentic selves. Surround yourselves with the right people, and step outside your comfort zone to get closer to your dreams and who you are as a person and who your future is. Or I guess that makes sense, but like what your future is. Because, you know, comfortability can really screw you, dude. It can screw you, man. So, yeah. That is my talk today. And I do have to go to work after this. So I'm going to be lingering and thinking more. But yeah, guys. Thanks for chilling with me at the park. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. And, you know, if there's anything else, you can always reach out or, like, leave a comment. And yeah, I'll see you guys for the next VOD. Maybe might do a gym vid. Don't know. But deuces, y'all. Love you guys.